Good morning. Happy Thursday. It is time for just a word from the Word. This morning's passage comes from the book of Acts, chapter 9 and verse 10. Here's what it says in the King James. And there was a certain disciple at Damascus named Ananias. And to him said the Lord in a vision, Ananias. And he said, Behold, I am here, Lord. As Pastor was teaching last night, he read from the book of Acts chapter 9. And as he was reading verse 10, I felt the Lord nudge me and ask me, what's my response to the Lord? The Bible study went on. Pastor touched on that just a little bit. And when I went into prayer this morning, I just couldn't help but to keep thinking, what's my response? When the Lord speaks, how do I respond to him? As you go through scripture, there's multiple examples of the Lord speaking to his people, individually and corporately, for sure. But it's always interesting when the Lord calls somebody's name. Usually, it is in doubles. When God called Samuel, God said, Samuel, Samuel. When God called the Apostle Paul, he called Saul, Saul. When the Lord dealt with Peter about going with the men from Cornelius, he saw a vision 3 times. God usually does things in multiples, but I was struck that in this particular verse, in Acts 9 and verse 10, the Lord just simply said, Ananias. Ananias's ears were so attuned to the voice of the Lord that God didn't have to say, Ananias, Ananias, to get his attention. God simply spoke one word, just called his name, and immediately Ananias' response was, I'm here, Lord. That's a convicting thought. How many of us, and I say us because I have been here, when the Lord has spoken, we want all sorts of confirmation. We want God to give us signs in the heavens and to speak a word, somebody to call us and say, thus saith the Lord. When the Lord would really rather us have our ears so attuned unto him that he doesn't have to give us signs and wonders. He can just say, Jan. And I would simply respond, here I am. What do you need, Lord? This morning's just a word from the Word. Keep your ears attuned to the voice of the Lord. If you don't know the voice of the Lord, the only way you're going to know the voice of the Lord is if you spend time in prayer and in his word. And if you still don't know it, spend more time in prayer and in his word. His word is his voice speaking to you. Listen to that. Obey what you know in the word. And then when he speaks to your heart, it will be so attuned to the word that you know that you'll obey immediately. I challenge you. Set aside the need for a great word from the Lord. The word of God is your word from the Lord. Hear his voice. Obey his word. This has been just a word from the Word. God bless you. Have a beautiful day, and Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow morning.